Hello everyone, welcome to a new video in the Game Creator Basics series. Today we'll be looking at the shooter module. But before we get started, I'd like to thank all of my Patreon supporters for the amazing support. So we're back in our scene. Let's go to the package manager and look up shooter. There we go. If you didn't download this yet, press the download button first and then after hit import. Now this will go incredibly fast. We'll go to a package manager and that's where we actually enable it, and it will pull in the rest of the content. So we have the basic module itself and we also have the examples, and as always those are absolutely amazing to check out. Now when it comes to the shooter module, in a couple of ways it will be a bit similar to Melee. In terms of how you set up weapons, a bit, not too similar actually, but you'll see what I mean. So we have the shooter examples, and as you can see we have several here that we can select. So we have the basic setup, which shows all of the buttons. And as I mentioned, they're all explained. So E to holster or draw, which is not actually doing anything as far as I might be wrong, but okay. So let's have a look at those triggers because it's not actually doing anything here. Okay, that's interesting. Then we'll just do it ourselves. That's completely fine. So yeah, my keyboard is still working, but yeah, it's not drawing. Cool, we'll do it ourselves. That's fine. And then it says shoot me. So okay, cool. We have that. I'm not really sure why it wasn't working, but we can just do that ourselves. And we have these cubes with shoot me on them. Is there something special about these? They do have rigid bodies. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy these over and we'll just do everything in our own scene. So let's head back to our sample scene here, and we'll just drop those in just so we have something at least. Cool. So what we're going to do first is we're going to create a trigger, key down, and we'll do the same because I do like E, so maybe I just mispressed, I'm not sure. And the conditions were right as well. So if shooter player is unarmed, we'll draw weapon. This weapon will be the revolver. If player is armed, then we'll holster. And there we go. So pretty similar to how you do it with Melee as well. Then we'll add another trigger. I'm going to create a trigger. This will be a basic mouse. I was thinking which which button we'd actually use in a shooter. There we go. Right. Aim. Now, when it comes to aiming, we have several options. So we can do stop aiming, which we'll need as well. So I'm just going to duplicate these actions real quick. There we go. But we need to start aiming as well. And as you can see, we have several options here, and that's why we had different scenes. So for top down, you choose top down. We can do muzzle forwards, aim at targets. Aim at target is more of a lock-on system, for example. Something you could use as well with turrets if they aim at the player, aim at position. But the default is aim at camera direction. Cool. This will also enable a different type of walking behavior, and you'll see that in a bit. And this one is stop aiming, so we need to add a trigger here, which is mouse up, and then we can stop aiming. So holding it down will aim in camera direction, letting it go will stop aiming. Really simple. Then, as you can guess, we need a trigger as well for shooting. So mouse down, left, and just shoot. You have single or burst, so kind of depending on the type of gun. We'll just keep it at single. And then we need another trigger. I'll just add it here because otherwise it's going to be so much. Reload. No. Key down. R. And this will reload the weapon and wait till complete. Cool. Yeah, plain and simple. Now the only thing we still need is bullets. So by default there's no bullets, and we can have a ammo box for that. So I'll just create a simple ammo box. So imagine this was an ammo box. I'll just do an automatic pickup, so you don't actually need to do anything. So let's add another cube here. Two. We'll just keep it simple. There we go. Cool. I'll remove the mesh renderer, and this will be a new trigger. Cool. So this will be a trigger, player enter, and we'll just do add ammo. Now one of the cool things which was added later, so you need the matching ammo as well, and we'll dive a bit into that revolver I selected and into the ammo in a bit. It's quite interesting. But basically we had the option to add to storage, add to magazine, set magazine. Now, why would you want to set storage and magazine, later? If, for example, in your game you have upgrades that allow you to expand your magazine size, you can do it this way, for example. So pretty cool. So we'll just do add to storage only, and we'll just add 1,000. There we go. And this won't work, obviously, because we need, let me remove this. We need the player shooter component, and there is a character shooter component as well, and I do want to highlight the difference a bit. So the character shooter component won't have the UI element that allows you to aim. I can't remember the name. Again, every time this happens. So the I don't know, reticle, I think it was, I'm not sure. Anyway, so the little canvas that displays where you're aiming, you'll see that in a bit. So the character shooter doesn't have that, so that's why you need to use that for enemies, for example. And the player shooter does. So this aim point. As you can see, we have an issue because it's basically on the body, and we'll fix that as well. Yeah, E holster grabs it. So I'm not sure why that didn't work in the demo scene. Can't shoot, then we'll go here, and we should have some ammo. And now I can press R, and it's not reloading actually. And that's because I didn't put it as a trigger. There we go. Now we can reload and we can shoot. But as you can see, we have an issue here. Because I'm basically, it does work, it is hitting, and we're shooting the boxes, but it's in the way. Now that's the reason why all of those third-person shooters are actually over the shoulder instead of, directly behind the player. So we'll need to make an adjustment, and we can do this. this will work. So target offset, we'll put it on the left, or you can do it on the right. It's up to you. And there we go. So we have our target offset. And yeah, automatically aims towards it. I still forgot to turn this into a trigger. Sorry about that. There we go. It's a trigger now. We can reload, and there we go. We can shoot, and we're shooting the boxes. So it automatically reloads as well, which is cool. I do like that when you shoot and there's no more bullets. But yeah, that's pretty much it. As you can see, it's not super accurate, and there's a reason for that as well. That's one of the settings you can adjust. So the default setting is not super accurate. It's not just that I have terrible aim. Now, one of the other things you might notice is that we're moving differently. So we're strafing. We're no longer just, you know, turning around. And that's because when we're aiming, we're doing camera direction. Now, if you always want that type of behavior, in movement, select camera direction as well instead of aim. Now, this is what you would do in a first-person game, but as you can see here, it's kind of weird. You know, it just looks kind of weird. But yeah, it's up to you. You can do it, and that's why I do prefer movement direction for normal. And then when you aim, you know, it actually makes sense. Cool. So yeah, that's that. Now let's have a look at how all of these actually are set up. So we'll go to our trigger that grabs that weapon, and we'll check it out. Now in the shooter module, everything is composed of two things. So we have the actual weapon object, and we have the bullets object. Now surprisingly enough, I mean, I didn't see it expected. Pretty much everything is actually set up through the bullets, not the weapon. So the weapon itself, you know, it has, you know, the animation states for normal and aiming, where you place the model in the hand once he grabs it, and which model you are using. And that's pretty much where it stops. Everything else is set up through the bullets. I do want to have a small look at the actual prefab as well. So as you can see, the prefab consists of two things. We have a mesh, again really important, don't put a collider on it. And the second thing is we have the muzzle. And yeah, the muzzle is actually the important part. As you might have guessed, the mesh is literally just a mesh, nothing else. It's all about the muzzle. So yeah, that's it. And then you have some impacts, the muzzle effects, really nice. But everything else is set up through the bullets. So as you can see, we have our fire rate. We can select infinite ammo if that's something you want in your game. Clip size, auto reload, the time it takes. Some animations, when you download, you know, different animations, actually take quite a bit longer. So actually have a look at how long that animation is. Yes, it will just speed up if you reduce this, but sometimes it can look ridiculously fast because the animation actually takes 3 seconds, and then you do 1.5 and it's like the guy's moving incredibly fast. So something to keep in mind. The crosshair, that was it. So crosshair, we have none, so you can turn it off if you want, and trajectory. And trajectory is basically a trajectory which shows, and as you might have guessed, that's for the bow and arrow. We have the prefabs as well, and it's pretty cool. There's a couple of different ones. I'll show you the high-tech one, which looks really nice. Focus time and projectile velocity, so a lot we can adjust here. We have different shooting types, so projectile, raycast, spherecast, etc. Projectile is actually really cool as well. If you want to have some slow motion effects in your game, keep in mind that if you do raycasting, which is, you know, a popular way to do this, it won't work. So everything will go in slow motion, but the bullet will, well, there's not really an actual bullet, so that will go, you know, instantly anyway. If you do it with projectiles, a bit more to set up, keep that in mind. So advise checking the bow and arrow because that's using projectiles. But you can actually have the bullets go in slow motion as well. So actually really cool. Yeah, we have those muzzle prefabs. We can select distance, radius. There's a ton of things you can set up here. This is how precise something is. So, you know, we have recoil, delay as well. It was actually set to pretty precise, so my aim was just crap apparently. We have ammo models as well. Again, check the bow and arrow, and you'll have an ammo model. You can position that in a hand as well. By default, it's actually set to right, and that's because when you use the bow and arrow, the bow will be in the left and the arrow in the right. So, audio clips and animations, and as with everything, you can adjust that. Now we have what happens on shoot. So we have a small burst, shake of the camera, and on start charging and end charging, that's for the bow and arrow, for example. So yeah, I'd recommend checking those. So overall, as you can see, pretty much everything is actually done on the ammo object, so definitely mess around with that. Fire rate again can be set through a variable. I wish everything could have been set through a variable. Would make gun customization a whole lot easier. But yeah, we can still adjust the fire rate through a global variable, which is pretty cool. We can actually now select the clip size through an action as well, which is great for customization. But yeah, it would have been nice to have these as variables as well. But yeah, overall, pretty cool. Yes, you can just, you know, add different ammo types to one weapon. You can do that, so that would always work anyway. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Pretty cool. Definitely play around with this, you know, and I would recommend playing around with the bow and arrow as well, just so you can see how the projectile version works too. So that's it. Thanks for watching everyone, and I'll see you in the next one.